if you just joined, please pop on your name on the chat box.
Did we need to make a start, Bahare? It's
yes,
11:06.
Yeah.
We talk quite a lot, so maybe we should get cracking.
Sure.
We do.
To start, Adam.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. It's so great to see so much chat going on in the box. We've got some very familiar faces that I've seen, familiar names popping up, so it's good to see everyone to this a bit of a celebration, really, of the Get Togethers programme and what we've been up to over the last 4 years. I should introduce myself. My name's Adam Carter. I'm Senior Programme Manager working on the Get Togethers programme. Here, this slide is a little overview of what we will be running through this morning. So I'll give a little overview of the programme. Chandra will talk about our My Food Communities programme. We had hoped that our lead for networks, Andrea, would join us, but she's unfortunately unwell today. But Chandra will take us through the networking approach that we've taken in the Get Togethers programme. Then Anna, who is our comms and marketing manager, and I will talk about campaigns that we've been delivering throughout the Get Togethers programme. And then you get a bit of a break from the Get Togethers team because we'll hand over to Anna Root, who will be able to give her perspective as a participant from the programme. Then we'll hand over to Bahare and Matt Jones from University of West of England to talk a little bit about the impact of the programme and some of our achievements. And before lastly, handing over to Chandra and Amit to legacy, and hopefully there will be time for a little whiteboard activity at the end where we'll be able to kind of really get some of your views in putting together our future work and future delivery. Lot, we haven't even started yet. I keep getting a sign coming up saying that my internet connection is unstable, which is fairly threatening, but hopefully we will be able to maintain the connection throughout. Just to give me a little bit of a break from talking, we're going to start with film. This is just a little trailer. As we come to the end of the 4-year programme, we've put together a number of films. Anna can talk more about that, but she was very keen for me to say, just make sure you thank everyone, because we did hundreds of interviews. We spoke to so many participants and people that have been involved in the programme, and they make a really good sort of legacy around our learnings and what we found out. So I will just frame the session by spending 2 minutes looking at a film and hearing from some of the people that have been involved in the programme. So Bahare, if you can take it away.
Food is integral to our lives and our celebrations and our sorrows. So bringing people together in a way to get them to think consciously about how the impacts of those meals we're eating or how we can improve those meals, and then those celebrations and those moments in our life is really significant.
Food is the element that glues people together.
There we go.
Oh,
Hope
you're
everyone.
going to start singing then, Adam.
Oh, I was about to, Tracy. I was about to. Yeah, I hope everyone could see that. There was a bit of lagging at the end, and I don't know whether everyone got a good view of it. Mine was a little bit, it was a little bit jumpy, so I didn't quite get the full impact and the very rousing music that sat behind it. Yeah, Anna, do you want to just briefly mention some of the other films that we've made before I crack on?
Sure thing. So that was just the kind of teaser, kind of trailer for a bit of a short wrap up of what the Get Togethers program's been about. But we've basically spent the last 6 months on this massive project, where, as Adam mentioned, we've basically been around the country speaking to so many people that have participated in the Get Togethers program over the last 4 years. So we've got a wealth of videos. We've got 4 more. So one of them is an attempt to try and consolidate all of the Get Togethers program into one film. And then the next one is an animation all about the networks and partnerships that have been involved. And then we also have one that's dedicated to the My Food Community Leadership Programme, speaking to a lot of the people that have been involved throughout that. They're not quite the 114 people, but a lot of them as well. And then we have finally one that is all about the kind of premise of the Get Togethers, which was about growing, cooking and sharing together. And that one takes us through quite a few of the plant and share activities that took place this spring that's just gone. So they're not quite finalised yet, but they should be ready by the end of this week. So we'll be sharing them after this in a newsletter around to everyone. But we just mainly really want to say a huge thank you to everyone who gave us their time for us to speak to over the last few months, because it's been a really amazing programme and project to work on. So just thank you everyone for your time on that.
Thanks, Anna. Right, brilliant. So I will just give a very brief overview of the programme. Bahara, are you in charge of the slides? Excellent. So this very top line here, this is the vision that we had for the programme. So it's a world where people of different ages and backgrounds regularly connect, learn and play a more active role in their food system. So that's kind of what we want to see. That wasn't the original vision, but it kind of iterated over time as we adapted to the changing circumstances. In order to achieve that vision, there's just a couple of outcomes that I picked out that have been really kind of central to the programme and really important. So the first one is that people of different ages or backgrounds have stronger connections with each other through cooking, growing or sharing. And I think that one just really is about that unique role that food has in connecting people and bringing people together. It's that one common denominator, the thing that kind of unites us all. So really powerful tool for connecting people and communities. And, you know, we need a bit more of that. So the middle section there is about focusing on the organisers. So the Get Together organisers, we want to make them more connected with each other, leading, participating in their own networks, sharing knowledge and resources with one another. And then lastly, that people across the UK are just better supported to run and sustain social good food activities. And yeah, I think the reason for that really is in this kind of little bottom sentence there, that community food activities, social good food activities, they've got this really important role that they play to make society better. They've got this really important social value, environmental impact, but they're just often seen as just nice to have rather than essential to the smooth running of society. So they're not always given the long-term support that they needed. Right. And through the Get Togethers programme, we've just seen so many important activities taking place that really do connect communities, that really do make sure people eat well, and really provide that glue that helps to stick communities together. So we just wanted to really celebrate that and try and, in our way, make it easier for people to carry on doing that work. So a little bit of this slide is just describes the sort of delivery of the programme. So Food for Life Get Togethers is part of the wider Food for Life initiative that's led by the Soil Association. It was a 4-year UK-wide programme, started in 2019. It was funded by the National Lottery Community Fund. So we were the Soil Association, Food for Life, were the leads organisation, but it was very much a partnership programme. So it's delivered with the support of 5 national partners, Food Sense Wales, Eden Project Community, Royal Voluntary Service, Generations working together up in Scotland, and Linking Generations in Northern Ireland. In addition to the national partnerships that was formed as to deliver this programme, we also have 12 local commission partners. And these were local organisations that really sort of broad range of organisations from community wellbeing organisations, arts groups, community gardens, horticultural groups, care homes. And the thing that they had in common really was that they wanted to help use food to improve the lives of their communities and the people that they're working with. And they were able to have that really, they were really trusted groups with good reputation, good track record of working in their communities, and they were really able to kind of spread our message far and wide. So they are listed there. I won't go through each 12 of them individually, but that's who they are. In terms of how we delivered the programme, we've really divided it into 3. If we start in that kind of top right-hand corner, connecting communities, under that strand of work, that's where we delivered our key campaigns, mobilisation to kind of get people involved in the programme. So yeah, we promoted through our partnerships and through our networks, through our press releases and social media. We also gave away very small grants to get people involved, and we'll talk about the successes of our small grants programme a little bit later on. And again, we took a networking approach to bring people together to share their knowledge. The bottom section around building capacity, again, that was really trying to go back to enabling and supporting those people that are leading community food activities. So we provided resources, we provided online training. Alongside our national and local partners, we ran networking sessions to share skills and knowledge. And again, we gave away small grants to encourage people to, that just remove some of those barriers to participation. And moving around the wheel, empowering leadership. This was really recognising, I think, the value of community leadership and investing in that, and really trying to make sure that people that were in the front line of delivering these activities were really well supported, empowered, learning from one another, and really able to kind of take it on to the next level. So that's a very brief whistle-stop tour of how we delivered the programme. I'm going to hand over now, and then we'll just talk about the various components. I'm going to hand over to Chandra to talk about My Food Community.
Thank you, Adam. Next slide, please, Bahari. Thank you. So the My Food Community programme has run 2 cohorts since, and it was set out to bring people together in the community space to learn, connect and take action around making good food and making a change in good food as well. So we set out to adopt a test and learn approach. Now, the Soil Association has worked on a number of awards programmes before within settings, so our schools, our early years, our hospitals, or with even in a sector, so working with Served Here and our caterers. But what we hadn't done is worked in the community space and worked with individuals on a leadership journey and empowering them and delivering sessions around coaching and mentoring and that peer support. So it was a great opportunity for me to start a programme like this, but also the breadth of people we've met across the way and the leadership skills that have been born out of this has been incredible. So one of the great things that I keep saying is that we adopted a test and learn approach because we wanted to learn too, because it was the way that we didn't know how this might work, and we didn't know if it was a quality that was needed or seen. And yeah, it's gone far beyond our expectations, and you'll hear more about the impact shortly. So we didn't deliver it on our own. We brought experts in from a leadership coaching company called Choreo, and our partners from Get-togethers as well. So Eden contributed with delivering lovely sessions on finding your tribe. Royal Voluntary Services delivered some sessions on supporting volunteer and the frameworks around voluntary services. And we brought in similar organisations to ourselves, like the Food Ethics Council and Sustain, to come and deliver some of our sessions as well. We always said that learning is makes more meaning when that learning can be applied. So every participant had the opportunity to apply for a leadership action grant where they were able to test a campaign or a way of working, a consultation, or a new way of doing something, so they could apply their My Food community learning in the community or the setting that they worked in. We learned a lot as we went along. You can go on the next slide now. Thank you, Bahare. So we've delivered 2 sets now. We have more than 100 good food champions up and down the country, from the Western Isles right down to the South Coast. We've delivered 138 learning hours when we've totted that up, which is fantastic. I mean, I don't think you get that many in doing a master's. So the hours and commitment our participants have put in has been incredible. And we have actually given out a chunk of money to have some amazing projects up and down the country. And you will see more of them on our Food for Life Get-togethers website. We didn't get it right all the time. We had a lot of failures, particularly tech was on our side, and we invested in a digital learning platform where our participants can discuss with each other, have forums, conversations, and all our recordings and training material is also up on the Circle website. And although we set out for this programme to be delivered online, there was a growing need as we moved through the course that everyone kept saying, we need to see each other and learn and be in a space and connect with each other face to face. So we were able to put a couple of sessions on, and we had an amazing welcome event in September of this year for My Food community too. So our evaluation told us that confidence grew, which was great, and shifting ideas about leadership. So although people came in and said, I'm not a leader, they actually learnt what qualities of leadership were needed to challenge the food system, particularly in communities that were dealing with lots of social and health crises as well. Expanding and creating our networks has been great. And one of the great things is actually the participants enjoyed the programme. So it was interesting course content, and we made it very accessible to those who were working in the community space, and the opportunity to apply learning as well. Personal highlights for me have been able to see people's individual journeys as they move through the programme. So not only have we had so many cookbooks and developed with communities investing their own recipes and their own family heritage around recipes and their cultural variety around recipes, but Lindsay from Poole was Volunteer of the Year for Mid and East Antrim on the back of not just a community fridge she organised, but the council invested some land and said, do what you like. And she went and built a beautiful garden, as you can see in the bottom right. We had Janine, who became a bit of a guerrilla gardener and started planting fruit trees all around Chat Moss. And she took a leaf out of Incredible Edible, Mary Clear's book, and did that. And then we've got advocates that have been part of the Sustainable Food Places Network, where they went over to Parliament and lobbied MPs for change in policy decisions that are made around nutritional safety nets and the food economy as well. So My Food Community version 3 has been launched today, so you're the first to hear about it. The applications are live on our website. We've got some beautiful quotes on there, and we hope to have as many people as we have done last time applying to be part of the new cohort. And if you're interested or want to find out more, there's details on the website, and I'm around by email as well. I think it's Andrea next. So unfortunately, you've got me again. I won't try and imitate Andrea's accent, but unfortunately, she can't be here today, and I won't take any credit of the work that she's done. But this is the highlight of the network programme that has been delivered so far. So the network has had a broad a broad collection of people across the UK, as you can see from all the little dots on the map there. And what's been really interesting about the network has been its third sector, who have been put in challenging circumstances to pick up around food and health and social issues that are going on in our local communities. And particularly those from the most deprived areas have learnt and benefited a lot from the networks as well, and the peer support networking that has taken place. The University of West of England evaluation showed us that actually strengthening capacity to run food activities has helped build a momentum around good food movement. Not only have they gained knowledge from coming on and looking at the resources and learning from each other, but they then have gone on to cascade that learning to other people in their communities as well. Not just, I like the idea of super networkers who have made many, many more connections outside of the network as well. Next slide, please. Thank you. So one of the spaces that is being used for our networks again is the Circle platform. So not only are we using it to deliver our online leadership program, we are also using it to create this networking of peer support and a discussion and forums, and hopefully we will have a calendar of events coming up for the next year as well. So that's free to join. And one of the things that has spun off from the network session is a lovely project called Back to Our Roots. And it's a collection of communities across the UK that are growing and flourishing in building connections around not just their roots, but what they can grow here in the UK from their cultural heritage. So that's been started off by a connection between Carol, who was part of My Food Community Cohort 2, and Eric, who was also part of My Food Community. And they had a chance meeting at our Birmingham Welcome event, and they realised there were some lovely connections to be made. And that then has spun off, and we'll be celebrating their harvest in the September as well. So if you're not on Circle, please do come and join us on the Circle platform to share networking with lots of other people across the UK. Thank you. I'm going to hand over to Anna and Adam now to talk about campaigns.
Thanks, Chandra, and you very much sounded like a networks expert. I have to say, standing in for Andrea there. So yeah, well done, and thanks for that. Yeah, I want to talk about our key campaigns have been a really important part of the programme, and here they are. Plant and Share Month, the Big Lunch, and then Cook and Share Month. So I'll start in the middle. When we started the programme, obviously we partnered with Eden Project Communities, and they already have the Big Lunch, which does exactly what it says on the tin. It's about bringing communities together, whether it's street level, neighbourhood level, community level, and getting people together over lunch just to build connections, get to know one another. So we thought, well, that's an absolute no-brainer. That's what we do. So that's what we want to do in this programme. So we really wanted to support the Big Lunch. Now, Big Lunch takes place in summer, but we wanted to find a way of keeping momentum going throughout the year. So we came up with the idea, well, we tried to be as simple as possible. The programme is around planting, growing and sharing, and cooking and sharing. So we thought we'd do a spring campaign that is fundamentally around growing and people coming together to share and grow produce, with the hope that they, what they grow and what they produce can be shared in autumn, harvest time, in our Cook and Share Month. So we did a little bit of work with our experts by experience, who were seasoned community organisers, who told us things like, actually, don't do it, do it over a long period of time to allow greater flexibility, for us to be mindful that the growing season is very different in the south of England compared to Scotland, for example. So we developed these campaigns, we provided resources, and we brought people together in networks. Bahara's trying to move me on, I'm not quite finished with that, but she's very good. So I do have to be brief, but I do want to mention a really important part of the campaigns was our small grants. So these were just very, very small grants, £150. They were really just like have a go grants. Very, very easy for people to access. And they were just that opportunity to get people to go, actually, look, we're just going to do it. We're going to go and buy some staff, buy some kit, send out some invites, and we're going to actually make progress and start getting involved in these activities. So we ran those. We ended up giving over 900 small grants out to mainly very small community organisations. We were a little bit worried when we didn't have the grants to give anymore, would people still be engaged in the campaigns? But as you can see from the charts, they've really gone from strength to strength, and they've grown and grown and grown. And as you can see, the last Plant and Share is just gone through the roof in terms of numbers. So nearly 2,500 events have held through our campaigns. Not the big lunch. If you could add a couple of million to it, I think, if you wanted to include those as well. And just very briefly, just to look at the impact. I think, yeah, Plant and Share activities help participants connect with others in the community. 97% of our respondents, absolutely, it did what it intended to do. And the same over in sort of Cook and Share, 99% felt that their Cook and Share activity helped them connect with others in their community. Other benefits were around reducing loneliness, isolation, changing perceptions around diversity and around aging. So really good demonstrations of how just giving a little push, getting people involved, really helped. So sorry, Bahare, we're going to move on to Anna, who can just share some of the key stats.
Thanks, Adam. So these are just the stats here from Plant and Share this year. So as Adam mentioned, this was actually the first year that we had without the small grants. We did have quite a bit of money to put behind social advertising, which did help push out the resource downloads that you can see there. We also, oh, somebody's not on mute. Thank you. So the resource downloads, sorry, I mentioned that. So the estimated attendees, that was up by quite a considerable amount. I think the previous year it was about around 19,000. So this time it went up to about 46,000 of estimated attendees. And we think that's because this year we decided to open it out to the wider Food for Life audience. So beyond just the community and third sector people that we'd historically engaged with via the get-togethers. So it was a real kind of like test and learn moment for us within the campaigns to see how it would go down with the wider Food for Life audience. And we also worked with our colleagues in Soil Association, citizens and membership team to see if we could push it out further that way as well. So we do think that a lot of lessons were learned, and it was a really interesting and quite exciting moment to see that actually there was quite a lot of buy-in from across the other sectors of the organisation as well. Which then, thank you, leads on to Cook and Share. So we will be launching Cook and Share in the next few weeks. The save the dates are, we've gone for a couple of weeks after normal. So we're going for the 30th of October to the 24th of November to try and avoid all the various different half terms that take place at that point. But we'll do similar, we'll take a similar approach to how we did with Plant and Share. And we'll make sure that all of the resources and all the themes and everything like that for the whole campaign are released about a month prior to the campaign actually taking place, which we found was a really good way to engage people in Plant and Share, because everybody had the resources and the plans they had a lot of time, lead-in time, to be able to actually really make the most of them throughout the campaign. So yeah, please make a note of that date in your diaries, and we'll be sending more information out about that in the next few weeks. Thank you to Anna now, I think.
I'll just introduce Anna Root from Rooted in Hull, who has been part of not only our local partner, but also took part in My Food Community and has been involved in a number of our Plant and Share, Cook and Share campaigns, ran network sessions, and is part of our Sustainable Food Places movement as well. So Anna, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Next slide, please. Thank you. So I'm going to talk very generally about how we foster relationships and partnerships in Hull, because it is very much not done in isolation. We work with a lot of different organisations. We've got over 50 different organisations that are part of the Hull Food Partnership as a whole. and then over 100 people who have signed up to our Hull Food Charter. But the question I get asked most when I do kind of national presentations is, where's Hull? And why is it so special? So I was asked by Chandra to give a little bit of context about Hull. So Hull is Yorkshire's only maritime city. Leeds, York, Sheffield, Doncaster, they're cities, but they're not on the coast and they don't have any kind of maritime heritage. Whereas Hull was a hugely prosperous port once upon a time, and it was part of the Hanseatic League. So it was very embedded in trade with Europe, and whaling and fishing industries were integral to Hull's success in the past. The current population is just over £250,000 people even. And we have a fair in Hull, which is the largest fair in Europe, and it comes to Hull every October, and it started in 1278. I don't think it was quite as big in 1278, but it's been going since then, which is quite spectacular. It's only not been held once, and that was during the pandemic. It was the birthplace of the English Civil War, so King Charles turned up and asked for some weapons, and the people of Hull told him to sling his hook, and it all kicked off from there. William Wilberforce, who was a key abolitionist in the slave abolition movement, was born in and was an MP for Hull, and just across the road from our office is his birthplace and a museum dedicated to his work. And in World War II, it was the most heavily bombed UK city after London, with over 95% of buildings damaged, and most of the population had to evacuate at some point. 90% of Hull sits below sea level at high tide and is at huge risk of flooding. It's the second most risk of flooding city in England after London. We had huge flooding events in 2007 and 2013. Our whaling and fishing industries are now gone, but we do have new industries. IT and digital are primarily there, plus oils, which is a kind of hangover from whaling, really, because whale oil was massive once upon a time, and renewable energy and food processing. Birdseye has its largest pea processing facility in Hull, and yeah, it's quite interesting the amount of blades for wind turbines in the seas are also produced in Hull as well. But Hull Food Partnership has done quite a lot of work as a Food for Life Get Together's local partner. We really decided to focus on children and young people. So we worked with an organisation called Creative Briefs to develop a logo and a website, and they are neurodiverse young people, and they developed our Nurture Hull brand and website. We worked with a young people's organisation called The Warren on our What Do You Put in Your Mouth action pack, which is a call to action for young people to get involved in food campaigning. With our Veg Cities hat on, we used some funding to develop the Summer Eating Challenge and the Veg Champions campaign last year, which, if you can see the photograph in the corner, our campaign coordinator, Darren, handed out prizes at the end of that challenge to young people at schools across Hull. We did our seat swap and redeveloped our growers handbook at the beginning of this year, and actually Food for Life came along and took photographs and filmed some of our presentations. We've used the small grants to develop the Plant and Share and Cook and Share months, and really heavily promoted those and delivered activities against those. And personally, I joined up the My Food Community Leadership Programme, and that has really helped me develop my skills to take food to the next level in terms of developing a food strategy for the city. Next slide, please. And the food strategy is kind of the next step, really. We really want to engage with communities and ensure that their voices are held at the centre of any work that we do to develop a food strategy for Hull. We've got huge problems with food insecurity, so we have to develop a food poverty action plan to draw upon what comes out of the food strategy. We were always at the top of the lists that you don't want to be at the top of in terms of poverty and deprivation before the pandemic hit. And it's really saddening to see other cities and towns across the country catch up with us in terms of being at the top of those lists. That's not what we want. We wanted to do better for our citizens, not for other people to be doing as bad as we have in the past, which seems to be what's happening at the moment. Children, young people are always going to be our key area of focus. We know that if we don't support their nutritional health from the very beginning, then they're not going to have good life chances and outcomes in the future. So we really want to make sure they're deeply involved in this. We've worked with Incredible Edible to develop a Right to Grow motion, which has been put forward to Cabinet and is going through the back and forth at the moment. But we have really worked on developing a cross-party approach to that so that it's supported from both ends of the political spectrum. And our vision is for a city where people can eat well regardless of background or income. And we know that we have got a long, long way to go. Things are not rosy for any community across the UK at the moment. But yeah, we're determined to do it. And that I like to nick stuff off the internet. So that ladder of participation, which has been doing the round since 1969, but it's kind of where we've started off and where we want to be. I think it's a really good illustration of that in terms of making sure that communities are brought with us rather than have things done to them. So next one, please. Yes. So the Food for Life Local Partner Programme is finished. Hull Food Partnership as an organisation is undergoing a period of change. We are separating from Rooted in Hull as our host organisation. So we're either going to have to go it alone or find another partner organisation to host us. And those negotiations are ongoing at the moment. Despite that, we are committed to working towards the Sustainable Food Places Silver Award, and we should be submitting in September. If we don't quite have the capacity to do that, we'll probably do it in February next year. Part of the My Food Community Partnership Programme grant was to develop a Save Our Surplus project. What we did is we bought dehydration and preserving equipment and materials to take out into communities and show communities how they can harvest food and then preserve it and make it tasty for young people to enjoy. So like fruit leathers, that kind of thing. So that's the next step of that particular piece of funding. We also developed a food exchange platform, which connects local food growers with local food aid organisations. We've put the platform together, but now we need to beta test it. And there's quite a lot of interest in it, but it's getting it off the ground so that people have got the time and resources to put into beta testing it. So we've got the proof of concept to take it further. If we manage to get funding for longevity after December this year, we are looking at developing a learning and skills centre in Hull around horticulture specifically, because we know from our work talking to businesses that there aren't enough people coming through that have got the skills to work in the horticulture and food sectors. And we want to be able to make that as simple as and easy as possible for people to enter into that particular employment marketplace. And we're also working with the local CVS to think about putting together like a green volunteers platform to support our community gardens and allotments, because we know, as that illustration shows, that they have such a vital impact on communities. And communities can mobilise radical change and inspire other people. And one of the things that I would like to take away from the leadership programme in particular is it really made me think about what my strengths and weaknesses are. My strengths are sitting behind a desk and reading policy documents and trying to make the case at a strategic level for change. I'm not always the best person to go out and speak in front of communities and mobilise that way. So one of the things I'm talking to our local Labour Party at the moment is standing for local election next year to be a councillor, and then I can try and make change that way at a strategic level, because it has to come from both directions. It has to come from communities, but you need to have those people with their hands on the levers of power to be able to make those changes happen as well. So that is kind of my personal journey in terms of this, which we'll see. You got to get elected first, so who knows, it might or might not happen. Next slide, please. And that's me. Whole Food Partnership. We're part of the Veg Cities initiative, which is part of Sustainable Food Places. And we got the Veg City Prize last year as well. So it's never done in isolation. It's always part of a whole system of different things going on at the same time. I'm not sure that was particularly coherent, but I'm happy for people to email me and I'll try and answer their questions afterwards. Thank you.
That was great, Anna. Thank you so much. It was just so amazing to listen to your experience and how you have been involved with the different parts of program. And I'm sure you're going to do great as a local councillor. Good luck with that. So this comes to the part that I'm going to talk about impact. To those of you who don't know me, my name is Bahare, and impact lead for the get-togethers. I have been working, we have been working as a team with the University of West of England to evaluate the different part of the programs throughout the previous years. And I'm just going to share with you some of our headline impacts. During the last 4 years, we have gradually increased our engagement and reach with everyone around the UK. And as of the last year of the program, we have engaged with more than 2,000 people, and indirectly it is estimated that more than 140,000 people were participated in the get-togethers. Different pillars of the program focusing on empowering leaderships through My Food Community, building capacity through campaigns, and also building capacity during networks were the main focus of the programs. And we have been collecting all the data and statistics around how many people did we reach, what did we achieve during these 4 years, and how our resources and all the assets we have produced were used. And by being the program's main focus around working with diverse groups, we have tried to engage people from most deprived areas of the UK. With all these statistics together, we put everything together, but we really wanted to evaluate what is the impact of this work that we have been doing during 4 years. We partnered with the University of West of England as our evaluating partner, and produced a couple of very in-depth research and reports around different pillars of the program. We have evaluated the impact of networks, we have evaluated the impact of My Food Community program, impact of campaigns, Plant and Share and Cook and Share campaigns, and produce very in-depth reports around how the program evolved during the last years and what were the impact of the activities we were doing. There were hundreds of people and participants who were involved in this project with us. So thank you for all of the participants who shared their experience with us. We have produced these different 4 reports on different parts of the program, but also University of West of England produced one last report for us as the full program report, which brought together the synthesis of all these different reports in one last report, which brings together the overview of how we have been doing during the last 4 years. We took all the key information from here and all the key statistics from here, and then produced this impact report summary that has the synthesis of the UV reports, and together with all of the statistics and engagement data that we have been doing internally during the last 4 years, and produced this document as an overall impact summary that can be used to just find out more about what was the impact of the small grant and what was the impact of networks and My Food Community on all different pillars of the program. All these reports can be found on our website, so everything is updated now. I will now pass the floor to Professor Matt Jones. Matt has been the leading academic evaluating the different parts of the program for us, and he has been doing a great job during the last 4 years with his team, keeping us with all the requirements that we have been asking them to evaluate the different parts of the program, interviewing hundreds of the people who were part of the program, and also running many surveys to just like produce these reports for us. So I'm just going to pass the floor to Matt. He's going to share with us his perspective of evaluating the program and how these reports can be used.
Thank you, Bahare. You'll be pleased to know that I won't linger on lots of technical details and just give some, I think, some broader reflections. We've actually seen a lot of the statistics, various aspects of from the evaluation. As Adam mentioned, community food activities are often perceived as sort of minor events, really, where there's tea and cake, hot soup and sandwiches. Maybe special occasions might merit page 4 of a neighbourhood newsletter, but are not worthy of serious policy attention. The coincidence of the programme alongside the pandemic and the cost of living crisis has kind of shifted all of that. And I think we're now looking at a very different place about the role of these forms of activities, where food isn't just a sort of side issue, it's the thing that brings people together, and that there's so much going on that is very under-recognised and often invisible to public authorities. So I just wanted to talk a bit about, first of all, the small grants programme, and one thing to think about with that scheme is that of those 900 grant holders, they were very, very diverse in their makeup and their aims and their demography and so forth. They're also, most of them are very, very small, 40% on under 5,000 annual income turnover, many of which of those even less. So these often very, very small organisations. Bahare, if you skip the next and then go on to the next one. But also, they're very diligent. As this particular application came to mind when I was thinking about it, where they itemised for the £150 the cost of every single ingredient and component of how they were going to spend the money in their application. They had a very clear idea about what they wanted to do and what they wanted to invest for the longer term. So these were not just sort of casual sums of money that people were throwing around. They were often very clear what they wanted to achieve with them. And with an average of about 35 participants, one extended up to 400, you can see that from a funder sponsor perspective, they're pretty attractive in terms of their sort of value for money. Participants were able to report lots of different achievements, and also about how they made those achievements last beyond the events and the programs themselves. So we were able to do follow-up work and see that this didn't just evaporate. So they're very attractive. They're also, it's really interesting to find out what makes people want to take part in these sort of programs. So we've done a lot of work to find out what brought them, and you can see some extracts here, and we've categorized it. So if you look at the next slide, we really wanted to know the journeys that brought people into running these sorts of events, and what you see in this is there's a lot about people's own biography about what they wanted to get out of it themselves. And I think thinking about these programs, we really need to be engaging very closely with what motivates people. The next slide, it illustrates that sort of community engagement ladder. And one of the things that comes out from all of this is that different people at different levels are all able to make use of small grants at the sort of level at which they're working. So those who are more skilled and advanced can amplify their work in certain directions. Those who are newcomers can grow their basic capabilities in trying something out. So the small grants are incredibly adaptable. And the next slide shows that people in our longitudinal work do things after grants happen, which is often something which is under-researched. So these don't disappear. And the next slide provides as a really interesting and rich insight into the varieties in which the ways in which food gets used. Food means so many different things that it's enormously powerful, and our categorization of all the ways in which people were using foods surprised us in terms of the sheer imagination about what people could do with food. We knew it would be diverse, but not this diverse. Looking at the next kind of ideas, we also had the advantage of being able to really understand what those people who do it at the working face recommend. And so, for example, in the next slide, we were able to categorize all the kinds of advice, the very practical advice that people use when they're putting together these sorts of schemes. And often what you see in this is like the last one is just not settling for doing the same thing and again. People often talking about how to grow and change and engage new people. So really interesting, the aspirations that people have when running these sorts of schemes. Thinking then about the networks and the partnerships, there's lots to say, but you've heard a bit about the networks already. And again, we wanted to know what brings the people to networks, because they are this amazing opportunity for these small agencies who would not otherwise have connections with others to reach out to one another, to learn from one another. So perhaps one of the biggest things about this program is it's showed ways in which networks can be developed for people who often have very limited time and capacity and resource. Indeed, as the next slide shows, we develop different sorts of archetypes of how people want to engage with networks. And, you know, as Chandra mentioned earlier, there are these super connectors out there who are making use of network connections and multiplying what they're doing in ways that are way beyond the expected goals of what the program was kind of hoping to achieve, if you like. And then there are other kinds of people, and so working out how to run a network that really sort of reaches the different motivations of people from different places. Finally, then, the community leadership program. We've heard a lot about that, but one of the things that really struck out from us is that most of the time people don't give us too much feedback about things, who wants to take part in an evaluation. But on this occasion, we had people actually writing short essays and doing sort of incredible learning logs and wanting to tell us more about what their experience was. This was a kind of a very unusual situation from our point of view. And as you can see then in the next slide, we've also, because people were so willing to take part, they were able to complete these structured questionnaires over a longitudinal period to show us what their learning was across the course of the program. So what we've been able to get from that has been this benefit of understanding the longer term changes that are taking place. So I think this kind of impact is interesting from a perspective of policymakers and funders about how to grow community development action through national networks, but being very locally focused at the same time. So I'm going to conclude there. As Bahari said, there's lots more detail available in our reports.
That was amazing. Thank you, Matt.
Hi, Bahari. Thank you. So we were going to switch over to a whiteboard activity where we had proposed 2 questions, which were, what are your plans for the coming year or in the community space around getting together around cooking, growing and sharing food? And as we start planning our year ahead, we also wanted to ask, well, what would you like to see from get-togethers as a programme going forward? If you haven't used Whiteboard before, on the left-hand side, there's a little picture like a post-it note. I don't know if you get there, a sticky note, and you can take a sticky note and then put that in the what's your priority for this year. And then under what would you like to see from Get Together, if you could pop a sticky note there. You should all be able to go in and collaborate. So I'm going to leave the board open for 4 minutes, 5 minutes, for you all to put a sticky note each on there, and that might help us put our year 5 delivery plan together. And I will also create a post on our Circle platform. So if you don't have a chance, or you can't get your head around the tech because it is new to us as well as this whiteboard, then yeah, you can join us on Circle, or just pop us an email, or put it in the chat if you'd like. And we've got one last slide to share with you after this about a wrapping up. Oh, it's great to see so many ideas coming forward. Thank you. Well, while we do the wrap-up slide, will this whiteboard stay open, Bahari? I'm not the tech expert. I'm just wondering if that's possible. This is all new to us, isn't it, Bahari? You can say I don't know.
I'm not sure if we can do that.
Okay. That's
But
okay. Let's give everyone
do
a
we
few
need the
minutes.
slide for the next one? Do we need the slide to show the slide?
Oh,
I was just wondering if we can go through it, or I can share the slides.
well, Amit is doing the wrap-up slide, and I think he knows it off by heart. I'm hoping.
I can share that slide very quick, and we see it's going to be a trial for all of us.
And if you're not on Circle, please do join Circle, because I'll put this, maybe I'll put that on there. There's a few people who can't see the whiteboard, and I'm not sure, why that is. But
yeah, I have a note here that if I share my screen, the whiteboard is going to be closed.
Okay, let's give everyone 1 more minute, because we've got loads coming in, and it looks great. I love the triangle.
I'm not sure why some people cannot see it. So they say main screen is black for me. I think that the 2 questions we have on the whiteboard, please feel free to add them to the chat, and we can just add them all to one place. So the first question is, what is your priority within the next year? And what would you like to see from us for the next network sessions? I think as an alternative, I can create a survey link, and then once we're sending an email out, put these questions there so you can keep sharing your feedback with us if there is anything additional you wanted to add now, but you didn't get a chance.
That's great. Thank you, Bahare.
Yeah, I can see some messages coming in the chat box. So that's
Brilliant.
great. Thank you all.
Do you want to put that last slide on, and then
Sure.
we can, Amit can do his wrapping up.
Mm.
Hi everyone, hopefully you can hear me. My name is Amit Titani. I'm the Head of Networks and Partnerships at Soil Association and supporting the Get Togethers team. And I just want to say thank you so much for coming along to the session today and for being part of the programme and continuing to engage with it. And most importantly, for all of the amazing work you do in your places. It's incredibly inspiring, and just reading through the chat and seeing all the examples of projects is just such a great way to start the day. So thank you very, very much. I actually have been connected to the programme for a little while. So prior to my role at the Soil Association, I worked locally in Birmingham and was one of the locally commissioned partners, overseeing frontline need, frontline delivery. And I kind of remember thinking at the time how hard it is to feel part of a solution when you're working in isolation. And how a programme like Get Together has genuinely helped us to sort of feel we were part of this bigger, beautiful tapestry of people and organisations doing amazing things. And today sort of has really highlighted that again. And you know, food being a great connector has been talked about a lot today, particularly locally, but it's so important to connect around food across geographies and learn from each other. So we're keen to provide as many ways as we can to carry on doing that. Chandra's already mentioned the current live applications for My Food Community. They're now open on the website, and there'll be more information coming out about that as well. You'll see that in your emails. Please do sign up if you're interested in an amazing personal development opportunity, and also a great way to connect to other people as well. Come along to our upcoming network events. We're going to provide some more information about what those are soon. And we're also going to take all the feedback that you've just put into the whiteboards to help inform some of those as well. So please keep getting in touch if there's something else that you want us to cover as part of this, or any ideas around those. Sign up to our mailing list if you're not already, to keep up to date with all things Get Togethers. Share the films that we've got far and wide, and get those out to as many people as possible. Anna already mentioned Cook and Share, so obviously we'll have more details and resources coming out in the coming weeks and months, and please do take part and help to sort of build that movement. Sustainable Food Places has been referenced a couple of times in the session today. We've got a link to our website, which will, I believe, go out as part of the presentation as well. If you need to find out any more, please get in touch if you'd like to know more about Sustainable Food Places and how to sort of connect to that network as well. Carry on using all of our resources as identified, and have a look through our impact reports and share them as well. And finally, Circle, again, it's been mentioned a couple of times. Join conversations on Circle, carry on joining conversations on Circle, carry on supporting each other and sharing information with each other. You're all amazing, and collectively even more amazing. I've just said amazing a lot, because you are amazing. Thank you again.
Oh, that was great. Thank you, Amit. Thank you, everyone who participated today, and thank you for all the team members who supported this session. It was a great experience for us during the last 4 years to share this journey with you all. We will share the slides and all the resources by the end of this week, so just please bear with us while we put everything together, and the recording of this session will be out as well. Any questions, please get in touch with me. You have my email on the invitation you have received, and thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Well done, everyone. Well done.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Nice to see you, Tracy. I'm going to say goodbye as well. but very interesting. Thank you for what you're doing. Bye.